Join me as we crochet a detailed wildflower applique and practice some fun new techniques along the way. Hi there, Jennifer here. Today I'm going to show you how to crochet the fireweed applique. Fireweed is a resilient perennial known for its vivid magenta blooms and for being one of the first flowers to appear in landscapes recovering from wildfire. But what captivated me most while designing this flower was its striking symmetry. The alternating petals, the long graceful stamens, and the tiny pollen-bearing anthers that give the flower so much movement and character. Focusing on those details, I used layered stitches and tiny seed beads to help bring the flower to life. This intermediate level crochet flower pattern uses a wide variety of stitches and techniques, including working into the front and back loops only, beaded chain stitch, single crochet join, also known as a standing single crochet, chain color changes, crocheting into the back bar of a chain, and working stitches of various heights. It's an engaging, skill-building project that results in a beautifully dimensional flower. I'll guide you step by step so you can confidently take on each new technique. The fireweed is the second pattern in my wildflower series, where I'll be sharing more than 24 wildflowers native to the Rocky Mountain region of the western United States. If you'd like to learn more about this project, check out the link in the description below. And if you'd like the written instructions for this flower, I'll also leave a link to the free pattern on my blog. Let's begin. For this tutorial, I'm using Cascade 220 Superwash Sport lightweight wool yarn in the colors Ecru, Raspberry, and Tahitian Rose. You'll need about 3 yards or 1 gram of ecru and about 5 yards or 2 grams of each of the other colors. I'm using a size F 3.75 millimeter crochet hook. You'll also need 8 size 6/0 seed beads. I like to use a dental floss threader to help me thread those beads onto the yarn. You'll need a tapestry needle for weaving in your ends and a pair of scissors. Now, if you don't have seed beads, you can certainly make this flower without them. We're going to be adding a seed bead as we're crocheting to the end of each of these stamens. But you can just skip that step to create a flower that doesn't have any beads. And I think it looks just as nice. To begin, go ahead and grab your white, or whatever color you're going to use for the center of your flower, your dental floss threader, and your seed beads. You take the dental floss threader and the tail end of your yarn, place the tail end through the large eye on the threader, and pull it through. And then you're just going to add seed beads to the tip of the threader and pull them down onto your yarn. Go ahead and repeat that for all of your seed beads, making sure that you have 8 when you're done. Just pull them down onto your yarn like so. And it is a good idea to count them once you've got them all threaded. There's nothing worse than getting, into your project and realizing you don't have enough pre-strung beads. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have enough. We can move on. Yeah, so go ahead and just pull them down onto the yarn like so, and you can move on to round 1. So we won't be using any beads in round 1. You'll just want to pull your yarn through the beads and then work your round over here. Just kind of pull it through and try to keep them out of the way and ignore them as best you can. So we'll start by making an adjustable ring. So take your white, this is the tail end over here, and then your working end is over here, connected to the ball. Take the tail end and wrap it around your 2 fingers 3 times. So 1, 2, and 3. And you can pull the other end to the front and just kind of hold it between your other fingers. Grab your crochet hook and insert the hook under the first 2 strands. Grab the 3rd strand with your crochet hook and pull it under the other 2 strands. Then yarn over and draw that through the loop on your hook. This creates a chain that kind of holds everything together. It makes it a lot easier to slip it off your fingers. So then grab the chain that you just made and remove your fingers. And there's your magic loop. We're going to work the first round into that magic loop. So go ahead and chain one. Insert your hook into the magic loop underneath the 2 strands. Yarn over and draw through. Then yarn over and draw through both loops on your hook to complete that first single crochet. We're going to do that 7 more times. Insert your hook into the loop, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook to complete the single crochet. There's 3, 4, 5. You can kind of hear my beads over here. 6, 7, and 8. So let's just check and make sure we have 8. This is the first chain that we made. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8. Now to close this ring, go ahead and grab the first single crochet that you made between your thumb and your forefinger. We're going to pull the tail end and see which one of these loops gets smaller. Okay? So pay close attention. As you pull that tail end, one of the loops is getting smaller. Right there. Grab that loop that just got smaller and tug on it until this back loop closes. Like so. And then to close this other loop, you're going to grab the tail end again and tug on it, pull it until the other loop closes completely. And your magic loop is closed. The last step in this round is to join in the front loop only of the first single crochet that we made. So you may need to count back just to make sure you don't accidentally work into that chain that we made at the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's the single crochet there that we're going to work into. Our first single crochet. And if you look down onto this single crochet, you'll see that there's 2 loops, of course. This one is your front loop, and the one that's closest to you will always be the front loop, and the one that's at the back, farthest from you, is the back loop. We're going to work into that front loop. So insert your hook under the front loop and then out through the middle of the stitch. Yarn over and pull through, and then pull through the loop on your hook to complete that slip stitch join. And round 1 is complete. Let's continue with round 2. This is where we'll be adding our beads. So go ahead and chain 5 to begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Next, we're going to work a beaded chain stitch. So grab your beads, take the first one, and pull the yarn through, the working yarn through to the other side, all the way until your bead is up next to your hook. And then yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook to capture that bead on the back of the chain. And that's your beaded chain complete. Next, we're going to work a slip stitch into the second chain, the back bar of the second chain from your hook. To find the back bar, just flip that chain over. So here's the front of the chain, where you can see the typical loops that we associate with the chain. Just flip that over, and these are all the back bars. The second chain from our hook, since this beaded chain is our first one, will be right there. You're going to insert your hook into that back bar, like so. Go ahead and move your working yarn in front of the bead. So like that, so it's between the bead and the hook. And then yarn over and draw through the chain, and then draw through the chain or the loop on your hook to complete that slip stitch. And so you can see the bead is just kind of hanging out there on the end. We're going to work a slip stitch in each of the next 4 chains as well. Again, we're working into the back bar of each of these chains, just making a slip stitch in each one. And there's our last slip stitch. See, here's our first little stamen with a bead on the end. Next, you're going to slip stitch in the front loop only of the next single crochet. So that is right here. Again, inserting your hook under the front loop only and out the middle of the stitch. Yarn over and pull through, and then pull through the loop on your hook. Let's do this one more time. We'll start with a chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Next, you're going to pull a bead through the working end here. Just keep pulling it all the way until it's up next to your hook. Now, if you weren't adding beads to your flower, you could just pretend we don't have a bead there. Just skip the beaded chain step and go straight to working a slip stitch in the second chain from your hook. But I'm going to add some beads here. So I move my bead all the way over to my hook, yarn over and draw through to capture that bead on the back of the chain. And then again, you'll flip over your chains so the back bars are visible. And we're going to slip stitch in the second chain from the hook. And then you pull your yarn around to the front, so between the bead and the hook. Yarn over and draw through the chain, and then through the loop on your hook to complete that slip stitch. And if you want, you can even, pull your working yarn a little bit, tug a little bit, so that everything's nice and snug up there at the end. And then we're going to slip stitch in each of the chains all the way back to round 1. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And there is our second stamen complete. The next step is to slip stitch in the front loop only of the next single crochet there. So that's working into the front loop only. You're going to go ahead and repeat this 6 more times, working a stamen off of each of those single crochets all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the beginning. I've reached the end of the round and I just have 1 more of these stamens to make. So go ahead and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Grab your last bead and pull that through until it's right up next to your hook. Yarn over and draw through the loop on your hook to complete the beaded chain and to capture that bead on the back of the chain there. Then flip over your chain so you can see the back bars and slip stitch in the second chain, the back bar of the second chain from your hook. There we go. Move the yarn to the front in between the bead and the hook. Yarn over and draw through the chain and through the loop on your hook to complete that first slip stitch. And then you'll slip stitch in the back bar of each of the remaining 4 chains. And there is our last little stamen made. To end our round, we're going to slip stitch in both loops of the join at the end of our previous round. So you can see here, that would be right there. So right there. insert your hook in both of those loops of that slip stitch, yarn over and draw through, and then draw through the loop on your hook to complete that slip stitch join. You can pull out your loop a little bit and remove your hook. We're just going to fasten off. So grab your scissors and go ahead and cut your yarn. And then draw the tail end there through the loop and cinch it up to fasten off. And that's round 2 complete. And now for round 3. For this round, you're going to need your second color. For me, that's this raspberry here, this magenta. And of course, you'll need your flower in progress. Go ahead and grab your tail end, and we're going to start with a single crochet join. So go ahead and make a slip knot and place that on your hook. And then grab your flower, and we'll be working this round with the front side facing, but we're actually working into the back loops of the unused back loops of the single crochets in round 1. So you can see them right there. So your front side's facing, but you're just going to have to tilt it down a little bit to see those back loops. Go ahead and choose any of the back loops in this round, any of the single crochets in this round, and insert your hook under the back loop, whichever one you choose. And then, let me pull my yarn around all these guys here. Go ahead and yarn over and draw through that back loop of the single crochet. Yarn over again and draw through both loops on your hook to complete that single crochet join, which is also often known as a standing single crochet. Next, you'll work another single crochet in that same back loop only. And then 2 single crochets in the next back loop only. There's 1 and 2. So you see you kind of have to pull these stamens to the front to kind of get them out of the way. Work 2 single crochets into the next back loop only. I'm thinking you probably get the idea here, right? Get where we're going. You're going to work 2 single crochets in each back loop only, all the way around. All the way around there, and I'll meet you at the other end. I've reached the end of the round, and I just have 1 more back loop to work into. I'm going to work 2 single crochets into that last back loop only. And then I'm going to join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet of the round. That's that standing single crochet or single crochet join that we started with. So I'm going to insert my hook in there, and sometimes it helps to kind of loop it around, hold the tail end at the beginning there, just to hold it taut so you can yarn over and pull your hook through the single crochet. Then draw it through the loop on your hook as well to complete that slip stitch join. And that, I know it's kind of hard to see with all of these guys, but that is round 3 complete. At the end of this round, you should have 16 single crochets. Let's continue with round 4. To start our round, we'll chain 1, and then we're going to work a single crochet in that first single crochet. So the same stitch that we joined to at the end of the last round. Next, you're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And next you're going to work a single crochet in the back bar of the 4th chain from the hook. So once again, you're going to need to turn your chain over to be able to see those back bars. We're going to count down to the 4th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, right there. And we'll single crochet in that back bar. Now all of those chains that we just skipped, they're going to count as a chain 3 space that we're going to work into in the next round. So you have 2 more chains left here. We're going to work a half double crochet into each of those. There's the first one. And then another half double crochet in the next chain. So that is the center of a round petal. You can see, I'll show you, on this completed flower, we just completed that part right there, the center, and you can see how the chain 3 that we just made, how all of those stitches are eventually going to go into that chain 3 space. The next step after completing the center of your round petal is to slip stitch in that next single crochet. And then we'll single crochet in the next single crochet. And then we're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Once again, we'll be working into the back bars of this chain. So go ahead and flip that over so you can see the back bars. And you'll start by making a slip stitch in the second chain from the hook. So 1, 2. Slip stitch in here. And then single crochet in the back bar of the next chain. And then work a half double crochet in the next chain. Work a double crochet in the back bar of the next chain. Work a half double crochet in the next chain. And finally, work a single crochet in the last chain. And that is our first spike petal complete. On our finished flower here, the spike petal is kind of obvious, huh? It's those guys right there. So next, you'll slip stitch in the next single crochet of round 3. And then single crochet in the next single crochet. So that is our repeat, is making the center of a round petal and a spike petal. And as you can see on our finished flower, you're going to do that 4 times total. So go ahead and continue working that repeat all the way around 3 more times, and I'll meet you back at the end. So I've reached the end of the round, and you can see I have 3 pairs of petals finished here, and I completed this last round petal center, and I just have 1 more spike petal to make. So I'll chain 7. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Flip my chain over so I can see the back bars, and I'm going to slip stitch in the second chain from my hook, working into that back bar, and then single crochet in the back bar of the next chain, half double crochet in the back bar of the next chain, double crochet in the back bar of the next chain, half double crochet in the next chain, and single crochet in the back bar of that last chain. There's my last spike petal complete. And then I'll slip stitch in this last single crochet. And then we'll finish our round by joining with a slip stitch to the first single crochet of the round. That's right there. I'll insert my hook into that last single crochet and slip stitch like so. And that is round 4 complete. Let's continue with round 5. For this round, you'll need your third color For me, that's this Tahitian rose here. It's kind of a lighter magenta color. We're going to start with a chain color change, which is actually a lot easier than it sounds. You just take your new yarn, like so, and make a little loop on the end, and then place that loop on your hook. And then just draw the new color through the loop on your hook, like so. And now you're working with your new color. You can cinch up the other color, the old color, if you like. And in fact, we could cut this old color, so you don't have to worry about it anymore. Now that we've changed colors, we can continue with round 5. In this round, we're going to be making these big pink petals. And so notice how we're going to be working. This is the chain 6 that we made, where we chain 6, skip 3, and then worked down this side. We're going to be working up this side into the unused loops of that foundation chain. And then we'll also work into the chain 3 space at the end there. So we'll start by working a single crochet in that first chain right there. Like so. Next we'll work a half double crochet into the next chain. Next we'll work 2 double crochet into the next chain. There's 1, and here's 2. Now into this chain 3 space, we're going to work a double crochet, and next we're going to work a half treble crochet. So yarn over 2 times, insert your hook into the space, yarn over, draw through, and you should have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, draw through the first 2 loops. You have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and draw through all 3 loops on your hook to complete that half treble crochet. Next you'll work 3 treble crochet into that same chain 3 space. So yarn over 2 times, insert your hook into the space, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops on your hook 3 times. And that completes the first treble crochet. We're going to do this 2 more times into that same chain 3 space. One more time. Next we'll work another half treble crochet into that same chain 3 space. And then work 1 more double crochet into that same chain 3 space. Next we're going to be working down into the stitches of this petal center. So we're working into the next single crochet. We're going to work 2 double crochet into that single crochet. There's the first one, and here's the second one. Next we're going to work a half double crochet in the next half double crochet. Then work a single crochet in the next half double crochet. And that completes your first round petal. Next you'll slip stitch in the single crochet between the spike petal and this round petal center that you just worked into. So that's right there. You're gonna let me see if I can move these guys out of the way so you can see. Right there. Go ahead and slip stitch in that single crochet. And then you're going to hold the spike petal to the front like so, kind of get it out of the way. And then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. and then skip the spike petal and find the next single crochet between petals. So that's right there. Go ahead and slip stitch in that single crochet. And that completes your first of 4 repeats. So that's your first repeat. You can pull the spike petal back again. You can see how now that chain is kind of hidden behind it. There's our chain. Just kind of goes across the back, gets us to the other side, so that you can make your next petal, your next big petal around this. Remember, working up into the unused loops of that foundation chain, working into the chain 3 space here at the end, and then working down into those stitches right there. Then you'll slip stitch in the next single crochet, chain 3, skip the spike petal, and slip stitch then again in the single crochet between the next 2 petals. So go ahead and continue doing that 3 more times, and I'll meet you back at the end. I've reached the end of the round, and as you can see, I have 3 petals made, and I just have one more large petal here to make. So I've slip stitched over here, chain 3, skip the spike petal, and slip stitched over here. And now I'm going to work up into the unused loops of that foundation chain. So we'll single crochet in that first chain there. And then I'm going to half double crochet in the next chain. Then I'll work 2 double crochet in the next chain. And then we'll work into the chain 3 space at the end. Work a double crochet, and then a half treble crochet. And then 3 treble crochets. That's 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to work a half treble crochet in that same space. And a double crochet in that same chain 3 space. And now I'll work in these stitches going back down this side. 2 double crochet in the next stitch. Half double crochet in the next stitch. And single crochet in the last stitch. Next, we're going to slip stitch in that single crochet between petals, then hold this last spike stitch to the front and chain 3, skip the spike petal, and now we're going to slip stitch in what is actually the slip stitch joined from the end of our previous round. So it's right there. So slip stitch in there. And then just to finish it off nicely, since that's kind of an odd way to end, ending it on a different color you might notice that. So I like to just slip stitch in the first single crochet of the round as well. Like so. Then go ahead and pull your yarn out a little bit, remove your hook, and you can cut your yarn and fasten it off. And here's your completed fireweed. Now you may notice that leaves are a little curly. They're curled in a little bit. And these guys are definitely all higgledy-piggledy, which is fine. I mean, that's how they are in nature, right? But if you want them to lie flat, if you want everything to lie flat, I really do suggest that you block it. So if you can see, so that's my freshly completed flower, and here's the flower after it's been blocked. To block your flower, simply fill a small sink with lukewarm water. You can add some soap, like wool wash if you like, but whatever soap you use, just make sure that it's compatible with the beads that you've used in your flower. You place your flower into the water. You'll leave your flower in the water until it's saturated, about 30 minutes. And then once it's saturated, take your flower out and press out any extra water with a towel. Next, you'll want to pin your flower out on a flat surface, so you can use a blocking board or you can use a towel with some T-pins. Press everything into shape and then pin out each of the petals so that it's flat. You don't necessarily need to worry too much about pinning down the stamens in the center, the beaded parts, unless you really want to. I've found that I've been able to just push them down flat and they pretty much stay that shape. You'll let your flower dry. When it's completely dry, you can take the pins out and remove your flower, and it's ready for whatever application you want to use. I hope you enjoyed working through all of the textures and techniques in this design. If you'd like the written instructions, you can find the free pattern on my blog. I've linked it in the description below. This flower is the second in my wildflower series, so be sure to subscribe if you'd like to follow along as I share more wildflower designs. Thank you so much for crocheting with me today, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more crochet techniques, tips, and tutorials, and check out the links in the video notes for more ways to find me and my patterns.